Well, it is official. Doc Rivers is back as coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. We will discuss how all of that went about. Also, a big day in the NBA as we have a Game 7 coming up tonight. We'll preview that a little bit. And lastly, we'll talk about a few other minor things to keep in mind as we go forward. Let's go. Perfect. What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome on into Philly Take with RB. You know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content. Be sure to ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of this content, videos, live streams, a lot of big things coming up. You want to keep those noties on. Today, we are back. And obviously, like I said, there's a big game tonight, Celtics and Heat. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about Doc Rivers and the fact that he will be back. But we start off with just something to keep in mind, as we have discussed previously, that June 1st deadline is coming up, couple days, and we're going to wait and see whether the Brooklyn Nets decide to defer the first round pick, which is actually number 23 overall. It would be a great pick for the Sixers if they can retain it. We will wait and see if the Nets defer that to next year. Essentially, the pick they got for 2022 in the James Harden trade, they have the option to defer to next year. And based off of the reports we are hearing about the Brooklyn Nets, they might go ahead and try to save that as future capital and another asset, right, to have next year, depending on what they're trying to do with their franchise. Fact of the matter is, when it comes down to the Sixers, hopefully the Nets decide to do that. And it appears, according to rumors, and we talked about what Kyle Neubeck had said, it seems like it is likely the Nets will do that. And that'll be great. We can get into draft breakdowns and the Sixers having the 23rd overall pick. That would change a big part of this offseason here in the beginning stages, because not only would the Sixers have the chance to go out and maybe get a bench guy, someone who can contribute for this team, but also it could be used as a trade chip, right? Maybe try to offload a contract or go out and get another wing that we've been talking about. And that could be used as kind of another addition to that trade. So, you know, I hope the Sixers end up retaining that draft pick, and we'll just have to wait a couple days and see what happens. But anyway, the main topic of today, as we talk about Doc Rivers, and we're going to be talking about him for at least another year, barring any fallout or barring Doc Rivers waking up on a Wednesday afternoon and saying, I just don't feel like doing this anymore. I'm going to retire. But anyway, a couple days ago, it was announced before one of the playoff games that Darvin Ham has been hired by the Los Angeles Lakers to be their next head coach. A lot of people had discussed this rumor. We have talked about it multiple times in the last couple of weeks about Doc Rivers and the fact that the Lakers were trying to sway him away from Philadelphia. But in fact, they go the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and they hire a guy who has never been a head coach. He was a lead assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's played for some different teams in the league, never like a superstar or anything like that. But it's definitely interesting. You know, first-time head coach with a lot of veterans, a guy like LeBron James. How will that all work out? It's interesting, and I believe they're letting him pick his own staff. So it seems like the Lakers, you know, they view what happened this year and just all the turmoil, and they're trying to go in a different direction. So, you know, a lot of people were off on that. I didn't know what was going to happen. We heard conflicting reports. But at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't seem that any other teams were interested in Doc Rivers. And like I said, unless we have a fallout or something, and this was kind of my gut feeling, right? As I mentioned before, if the Sixers were going to fire Doc Rivers, it would have happened the day after the second round series. I mean, there would be no reason to stall and think like, you know, you're either going to keep him or you're not. The only way that he would have left is if the Lakers came in and swooped him away. But as we now know, Doc Rivers will be back with the Philadelphia 76ers. And what does that mean for this team? Well, it means a couple things. Number one, it means that, you know, what I believe is going to happen is that the Sixers are going to try to run this thing back. However, they're going to try to upgrade around Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. The James Harden thing will be very interesting. We'll see how that plays out. But what it means is they're going to keep the same core in place. They're going to keep Doc Rivers. They're going to, you know, keep a guy who can get us to the playoffs and we'll have a solid regular season. The question is, can we get over that hump? And, you know, there were a lot of question marks, a lot of concerns. If it's up to my preference, like I said, I probably would have parted with Doc Rivers, not just because of the inability to get over the hump, but more so the stubbornness. And when I look towards the future, another thing that this means is that we are going to struggle with the same couple fatal flaws that a lot of Sixers fans view, and in my opinion, are going to continue to hurt this team. Number one is talent acquisition, and the second one, which is more important to me, is talent development. And we saw this year a lot of young guys on this roster, a lot of pieces who could at least fight for minutes, guys that could get in, are not going to get that chance under Doc Rivers because that is not his MO. It never has been. It's unfortunate, right? Like the first off season, Daryl Morey comes in here. He gets a lot of these young pieces, whether it's Tyrese Maxey, who may not have even played if it wasn't for the whole Ben Simmons thing, Charles Bassey, Isaiah Joe. All right, we get Jaden Springer. None of these guys are going to play. And in my eyes, the talent development issue is going to continue because I don't think Doc Rivers is just going to suddenly change. He's stuck in his ways. He has his MO, and he's going to run things like that. Here's where the difference comes in. Next season is ultimately the hot season, the hot seat season for Doc Rivers. And honestly, the whole mental toughness aspect that has been brought up a lot, especially after the playoff series when guys openly admitted that they, were not mentally strong, they were not mentally prepared. If those things continue, right? And we saw warning signs like at the end of the regular season this year, when we would come out great one game and the next game, it looked like we didn't even want to play. If we see some of those warning signs, especially in the early parts of next year, I just don't see any way Doc even makes it through the season. And maybe that's a bold take, but it's just how I'm looking. Because, like I said, the Sixers need to optimize the next couple years. And I think where a lot of Sixers fans kind of dove off the bridge of Doc Rivers wasn't really the fact that, he can't get us over the hump, but it's more so the way that he is, unable to really listen to criticism and change. And, we're not going to play these young guys. We're not going to change anything. What needs to change at that point, which I hope does this offseason, is the roster construction. Because if Doc Rivers has talented players, he'll get them to the second round, maybe the third round. But we need to get over that hump, and we just don't have the years to waste anymore. So, whether it's I don't want to go on a Paul Reed victory tour, or whether it's a babying of that guy, or whether it's this or that. I'm not saying Doc Rivers doesn't do anything good, because I think he came in and established a system where Joel Embiid could be the most dominant force and got him going. But a part of that is maturity as well. And if Doc is not going to adapt and adjust, if he's not going to try these young guys, because again, you look in the playoffs, right? Part of it is also talent acquisition. Like I said, look at the Celtics. Look how many guys on that roster started off their careers, didn't look so hot, and look at where they're at now. Tonight, trying to play, to go to the NBA Finals. I mean, the Sixers need more talent. There's no doubt about that. But you got to get on these guys. You have to be mentally tough. You have to make Matisse Thybulle shoot jump shot. You have to do all these different things. And if Doc is not doing that, we're not going to ever get over the hump. We're going to stay right where we are. And maybe a different source of life, maybe a different coach could get that out of us. Maybe not. I don't know. What I do know is that Doc Rivers will be back and all eyes will be on him. If he thought the pressure was hot this year or last year, well, he's got something coming for him. He needs to prove something. He can't just rely on, I've won a championship in 2008. He needs to come out here and prove more. And so does this entire team. And it'll really be a testament to where this organization is going if Doc doesn't change, if we stay complacent, if we're the same team. But again, hopefully the roster gets better. He has more weapons to work with, and we just have to hope and pray. But honestly, I'm not too hot about it. I'm really not. I just don't like the stubbornness, and I think some things need to change, both from a talent level and from a coaching level. And guess we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But Doc is officially back. And give me your thoughts about that down below. Last thing I want to say before we get out of here, Game 7 tonight. We might be live for it. Celtics and Heat. Who do you have? Let me know down below. Here's a picture from last game. Look at that guy, Jimmy Butler. I've been arguing with Sixers fans on Twitter who get tired of me repetitively, going about this. But the fact of the matter is, Sixers once again made the wrong decision. Now, Jimmy might not finish it off tonight. They might lose at home. They're banged up. I get it. I actually am leaning towards Boston winning the game. I think just the way they got embarrassed last game and the last game that they lost, I think they're going to come out with a vengeance. I think they're younger, a little more fresh, a little more healthy. And I think the Celtics might actually pull it off. But at the end of the day, Jimmy Butler wanted to play with Joel Embiid. And the biggest thing about me with Jimmy Butler, is he perfect? No. Is he a top superstar in this league? He's not like a top 5 superstar or anything, but the guy is a winner. And you can say, RB, how is he a winner if he hasn't won a championship? Well, look at what he's had around him. And at the end of the day, he's a dog. What I mean is he has it here. He's a winner deep down. The league needs more guys like him. And the Sixers letting him go was one of the worst decisions. I've been dying on that hill for years, and I will continue to do so. Game 6, these were the stats from Jimmy Butler. By the way, on a bummed knee with no help around him because everybody else is hurt on the team. 47 points in an elimination game, 9 rebounds and 8 assists and 4 steals. That is a guy who heard criticism for 2 straight games and responded to it. And that is the DNA which the Sixers need to try to replicate on this team and get it back somehow, because we had none of that in the second round for 2 straight years, and we need it. But we'll see what happens tonight. I'm hoping that Jimmy Butler wins. I'm rooting for the guy. He deserves another chance, and he's a dog. And quite frankly, he might shatter our hearts again tonight. Go to another finals. It would be his second finals appearance since leaving the Sixers. And it just continues to prove to be a bad decision. And that's just my opinion on it. And we'll have to wait and see what happens. But best of luck to him tonight. And we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be a really good game. But those are just all my thoughts on everything. Give me yours down below in the comment section. Like always, appreciate you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We have a lot more content coming soon. Be sure to stay tapped in, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace. Perfect.